We're going to try and keep our show consistently on. It's going to be weird with the playoff time, so we'll let you guys know. We'll figure out what time we'll be doing the live shows for baseball. But obviously, probably we're going to be changing those after today. But I did want to come on and talk a little bit about today's NFL slate. Again, frustrating week for me. I can't seem to get the injury bug away from me, or in some cases, it was interesting because I had a lot of Trubisky stacks that did well, but obviously Trubisky didn't, got pulled in the third quarter. So anyway, hope everybody out there as well. Get in chat, say hello, give us the like, the thumbs up, all that good stuff, and we'll get this thing on the road and we'll talk a little bit about. It's interesting. There's only one game, but it's if there was it's going to be one of the best Monday night games we've had since Rams Chiefs probably a couple years back, and maybe even a better game than that game actually. This is a really, really fun one, and there's huge tournaments across the industry, so it's probably worth trying to find some edge, trying to find some advantage, trying to find some things we could do in relation to all this. So anyway, without further ado, let's get to it. We're going to talk about some NFL stuff, and remember, like, subscribe, all that stuff, good stuff. You know the word promo code BobbyFi for 20% off. These guys have been on fire, BetQL. So just take a chance on these guys. It's worth noting. And also, let us know how you did this weekend. Say hello when you got in chat. Say what's up. Say where we were wrong. Say where we were right. Love to go over all that stuff with you guys. And that's basically where I'm at. So without further ado, getting into the slate, we're going to talk about it. So a little differently. It's a showdown slate. So first of all, the thing you'll be trying to figure out is what exactly we're going to be doing with our captain position. And I think that there's going to be some pay downs, like a Nick Boyle would be a guy that just may catch a ball or two, and is actually probably a pretty solid play at 800. You have the obvious guys who I'm going to probably be using, which are going to be mostly going to be Lamar. I will use some Mahomes, and I will use some Justin Tucker. Going the kicker route. Sometimes I like to do. I really like Miles Boykin for his price, and I also think that, as a captain, I think there's a chance with the way that Lamar plays, you could get him on two big plays the same way we think about Hollywood Brown. He's obviously not the same. He's obviously not going to get the field as much, but a couple big plays to Boykin could make the difference here, and you can kind of do whatever you want elsewhere. But again, you don't need to captain him. I just think he's kind of an interesting option as a captain if you're playing a lot of large field GPPs. The Chiefs defense is too cheap, and there's always a route for a defense to get there, even if they just score 7 or 8 points, and that's very possible. You could end up getting a weird defensive touchdown. They've got some good kick returners. There's a lot of ways that could happen. So doing that on showdowns, I don't mind too much. I'm less interested in Butker than I am Tucker. I tend to like the team that I like better. And just to flat out say it, I think that the Baltimore wins this game. And I don't want to say easily because I believe Mahomes is the best quarterback in NFL history, or is going to be. But I think that this is Baltimore has been absolutely unbelievable. I think they've won their last 14 regular season games. I think they beat the spread in all of those games. I like them here. I think that they're the better team. But getting back to the DFS side of it, I'm going to sort of treat my lineups a little bit like that. Like I said, I will be using Mahomes and Lamar as my most common players in the captain. I'm not going to get overly creative there. But I'm going to have Mahomes primary. I'm sorry, a lot more of Lamar than I will of Mahomes. And the thing with I like Tyreek, but I'm okay with trying to take the fade there. These corners are pretty good, but he could always blow up a whole slate. He's just going to be so high owned. Travis Kelce, I think, is a little bit of a safer play in this matchup, and I think is probably the slightly better play. So that's a little bit where I'm going. You get a little bit of a discount over here. Marquis Brown is going to be fairly popular, but again, there's a range of outcomes for Marquise Brown where he doesn't have the monster game. I would be more interested in taking a shot on captaining a guy like Mark Andrews than I would on Marquise Brown tonight specifically. McCole Hardman, I like a ton for tournaments. I think that he's interesting for what he can bring to the table if he even just, he can break a play, all that stuff. And he's talented enough. J.K. Dobbins is another one I'm looking at along with Gus Edwards. I sort of like playing all those guys a little bit more than the field. That's what I'm sort of leaning on. But the real guy who I'm going to be way over the field on is probably going to end up being Miles Boykin and taking a little bit of a stand there. I think that he can be a big play waiting to happen. So that's sort of where I'm going. Let us know what you think. Give us any of your thoughts. We're just doing a really quick show today. So get any QQs in ASAP because we are going to be out of here in literally no time. I just wanted to not leave you guys hanging. We wanted to bring you guys, something to offer on this Monday slate. And yeah, if you could go ahead and do that, that would be awesome. So, let us know. All right. The only other thing I wanted to maybe mention about today's about the first of all, I hate the MLB seeding things. I really just, it annoys me. I don't like it. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair. I think that the best teams aren't being rewarded nearly as much as they should be. The Dodgers being one of them, and it scares me that they have to play these weird, stupid little series to even keep going. I just hate it. But I'm excited by it. It's going to be a blast. It's just, I hate it. And it's going to make DFS fun again for a little bit longer. And I'm a fan of that because I had a great week to finish last week in the MLB. So can't complain about having too much MLB. Anyway, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, NFL, MLB, again, I like to stack both the running game and Lamar. I also think Willie Snead, I didn't mention much of him before. He's the other guy who I'm going to be well over the field on. So you'll see me targeting the other receivers from Baltimore. I won't be as high on what's his name? I won't be as high on Hollywood Brown, but I will be pretty high on Mark Andrews. So I sort of like that part of the game, and I like taking a shot on the lower owned KC guys, sort of not fading, but taking less Tyreek Hill. I think I want to be a little bit higher on Kelsey. I'm sorry, a little lower on Kelsey than the field. These quarterbacks are so good. There's other guys who can beat you, so I sort of like getting over the field on all of them. I think the Q tag on Sammy Watkins as a secondary receiver might give him lower ownership here. I don't mind making a shot on any of those other. And then look, you can play your 2 to 5% of Byron Pringle and Marcus Kemp, but that's those are really, really long shots that you obviously don't want to go crazy with, in my opinion. Anyway, we are going to get out of here in just a minute because it seems like everything's sort of dried up. If we have any questions about specifics, I prefer Darrell Williams over Darwin Thompson. I don't mind using both of them a little bit. I'm going to be higher on Darrell Williams, though, as I think he is the better upside play and can always break one. We don't know how much work Thompson's going to get with Williams back, but I like speculating on him. So over the field on those guys, below the field on, even though I like Edwards-Helaire in general, I just think I need to be – that's what my plan is, be under the field on Edwards-Helaire, be under the field on, like, significantly on Hollywood Brown, under the field on Kelsey, and then play all the other guys at, the Watkins is, at lower ownership. The other guys I'm going to be under the field on Mark Ingram probably, but ahead of the field on probably J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. Those are two plays I like quite a bit. I actually started to think that I want to be significantly ahead of the field on Edwards. I think he's the better upside value guy because he can occasionally get a goal line carry. You can get a touchdown out of him. My bold call for the game is basically that you want to try and, I like those guys, but I'm playing, a ton of GPPs. The guys who I'm overweight on the most, I can just say, are Miles Boykin, in terms of guys who aren't going to be crazy high owned. Miles Boykin, again, Lamar is going to be popular, obviously, but I think Lamar as the captain is the way that I'm mostly going to go, with a little bit of Mahomes, and a little bit of some of the other guys I mentioned, including Boykin and some weird guys like that. Mark Andrews is another one I like for a potential captain. I like Willie Snead. So I guess my bold call would be the other receivers in Baltimore, the Willie Sneads, the Miles Boykins. That's where I think you'd be wanting to play your DFS guys. And the bold call is that I just like Baltimore to win this game. And I don't think that I think the Chiefs have looked a little shaky, and they're a really good team in general, but I'm gonna bet that Baltimore wins this game, and I wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to get into the over-under because I could see this game getting a little bit slower than people think. But I still like I like these secondary pieces better than these high-owned other pieces. And remember, it's not Sammy Watkins, 3 times a year probably will lead the Chiefs in receiving, and probably 2 times a year break a slate. Now we have him at 5K, even though he's banged up if he does play, of course. At 5K on a one-game showdown, and he's going to be 15% owned. It just seems like we should probably be ahead of stuff like that. Nick Boyle's another one I like as another pivot off Andrews. I don't mind if you play both of those guys together. And then I do like Justin Tucker playing sort of the runaway game a little bit, so I want to be ahead of the field on him and maybe use a little bit of that Ravens defense even. It's weird to do against the Chiefs. It feels kind of wrong, but I think that there's some value in it this week. And if they're down big, you could always see a mistake or two out of Mahomes. even though he's amazing. But maybe one of the no-look passes gets picked. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for my bold calls. Any other QQs, guys, get them in because I'm going to get out of here shortly. I have had a long weekend. It's been a fun one, except for the unfortunate Sunday NFL slate. And yeah, I'm going to get back to taking care of some taxes and fun stuff like that. So if there's no more questions, I'm Bobby. For everyone at BetQL and QLTV, thanks for joining in. Please tell your friends about us. We were really on fire last week. We gave out some really good stuff. We've had some winners from our chat. And we want to keep doing these shows. And if we're going to do them for free, we at least need you guys to watch the shows. So come on in and join us a little more often. And please make sure to like. And then if you have any last-second QQs, I'm going to leave the stream for about 10 seconds and stay silent, which is about as long as I ever go. So here's your chance right now. What's up, Ken Jones? I knew somebody would pop in. It always takes about 20 minutes or 15 minutes or so. And I did start, in all fairness, I started early today, and I just did a quick slate thing. So it's not especially interesting to play one gamer, but there are some huge tournaments. So I'm just trying to get well overweight on the really off-the-board plays as much as I possibly can. And by the way, the Chiefs defense you can make an argument for too, just because of the price. Again, it's not fun to try and play defenses against these guys, but it's an interesting way. It's just an interesting option of ways to go. One other guy we didn't talk about was Devin Duvernay. He's the other low price guy that you could probably get 5 to 10% of, and I think that would probably be about right. What's up, Joe Pagliarulo? I think I said it right that time. Good to see you, man. Thanks for jumping into chat. Please, again, guys, like and subscribe, throw in any questions. I'm here to just answer whatever. I pretty much went through my initial thoughts. I don't have the boldest of takes, but I am leaning Baltimore secondary receivers and secondary running backs, guys like Miles Boykin and Willie Snead, especially Boykin, and then Gus Edwards, that kind of thing as my spend downs. Oh, I got it. All right. I got his name right. I got Joe Pagliarulo's name right. I just make sure, I mostly am good with like players and athletes' names, but occasionally with people's names, I'll get the pronunciation a little bit wrong. So yeah, but below the field on the big heavyweight Chiefs, above the field on the little ones. And that includes, secondary options over there. Watkins, obviously Kelsey. I like Kelsey better than I like Hill, but I will have less than the field of both of them. And I will try to play whether he plays. If he plays, I would play Watkins, but I don't mind Demarcus Robinson as a play whether he plays or not. I don't mind, and you just want to get ahead of the field on these guys and below the field on the other ones. Darwin Thompson is a running back potential, like low, just guy you want like 5 to 10% of probably. Justin Tucker is going to be pretty low owned and can always put up, 14 points or so, which is going to be pretty good for his price. More likely he puts up like 10 or 12, but that's still pretty solid. And I think that's a pretty good, reasonable outcome for him in this kind of a matchup. Darrell Williams, I want to be ahead of the field on. It's not like I'm in love with these guys. And Joe asked if I like Nick Boyle. I do like Nick Boyle. I think there's volatility with every receiver on Baltimore, which is kind of ideal because that also makes these guys potentially good plays at really, really cheap prices and low ownership, because it could be a day where Miles Boykin catches a big touchdown, pass. He's had 9 targets through 2 weeks so far. He's had pretty good activity. So I like being way ahead of the field on Boykin. Willie Snead is another one that you could see him in a, possession type of, receiver, but like he can get in the end zone once potentially. He's put up, he put up 16 already once this season. Maybe he does something like that for you tonight. That's pretty solid. What's up, John Diaz? So I like these secondary pieces that are going to be lower owned, and I'm trying to fade more, and I'll still have some, but more of the really high owned guys. And by that, I mean, I'll be ahead of the field on Lamar. I'll be ahead of the field on Mahomes, or I'll be with the field probably on Mahomes. I'll be below the field on Kelsey, a little bit right about with the field on Andrews, below the field on Edwards-Helaire, below the field on Tyreek Hill, below the field on Marquis Brown, below the field on Mark Ingram, above the field on Justin Tucker, Miles Boykin, J.K. Dobbins, McCole Hardman, Willie Snead, Gus Edwards, Darrell Williams, Marcus Robinson, These are the guys who I want to be ahead of the field on, as opposed to those spend ups elsewhere, if that makes sense to y'all. Any other specific questions, feel free to fire them out there. I don't have anything to do exactly. I do have some other stuff to get to that's just practical BS that I don't want to get to anyway. So I'm happy to answer anything else if there is anything else out there. Yeah, that's basically where I am. And, you could always see a weird play in one of these games that could get you there at a 200 price tag or something. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you get a Byron Pringle target or so. It's not the best. Thanks for the call. Thanks, Joe. I thought I was in business. I had Isabella at low ownership. He was low ownership in the afternoon slate too. And I thought I was in business with Isabella, but just couldn't get the right mixes. I had a lot of Carson in with my Isabellas, and that didn't work out well. Zeke didn't work out well. It just couldn't get the right mix. I did have a lot of Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, but you can only play so many guys, and I just was a little bit higher on the other guys. So a little bit unfortunate there. Also, the Trubisky thing was frustrating. It really did. The idea of spending down at quarterback, then spending down at receiver, and spending up at running back was really appealing. And I thought I had some good options at the low tier and for receivers, and just didn't quite get the rest of this stuff right. Yeah, it killed me too, the injuries. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. So if there's no more QQs, remember to share with your friends. Please give us the thumbs up right now because there's not as many people as we usually have on these shows. I'm used to doing these with hundreds of people before on RG, thousands sometimes. I think we did one with like 15,000 people. So spread it around. We want to keep doing these shows for you, but we need you guys' help. And we're making money. We're giving out good picks. We're not always going to make everybody money, and I know Sheets and I have been doing really well. And anyway, I know that a lot of you guys have done well at different times, and we would just appreciate it. But anyway, thanks for you guys all checking in. Thanks for all your thoughts. And again, if you have any other thoughts, just ask me publicly on Twitter. I'm happy to answer any question in public on Twitter about who I prefer or something like that. Anyway, thanks, guys. Appreciate y'all for all the good people at BetQL and QLTV and RotoQL. I am BobbyFi saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.